Hi, I'm Eva, Dietitian and Science Ambassador for the Tetrogen team, and today I'll be talking about the main two hormones that are involved in regulating our hunger and our satiety levels, or how full we feel. And the three questions to keep in mind during this video are: why are these hormones so important when trying to lose weight? What happens if they're not working correctly? And if the hormones aren't working correctly, what can we do about it? So let's begin. The main two hormones that are involved in regulating our levels of hunger and fullness are ghrelin and leptin. And let's start off with ghrelin, which is sometimes called the hunger hormone. It's a fast-acting hormone that's involved in meal initiation. So what that means is basically ghrelin tells us when to eat. And how this works is when our stomach is empty, then the stomach produces a hormone called ghrelin, and ghrelin then travels through the bloodstream to the hypothalamus in the brain, and it sends the hypothalamus a message, and the message is telling us that we are hungry. And what do we do when we're hungry? We eat. So this is why it's called the hunger hormone. And then shortly after we eat, our stomach is full, and then the amount of ghrelin that is produced goes down, so we don't feel hungry anymore. And then we don't eat, and that's how ghrelin works. Now, on the other hand, leptin works by doing quite the opposite to ghrelin. So leptin is a hormone that's involved in the long-term regulation of how much food we need and how much energy we burn. So the main function of leptin is to try to help to maintain our body weight. And okay, let's have a look at how leptin works. So when we have enough energy from food in our bodies, leptin is produced. It's actually produced in the fat cells, and then it travels through the bloodstream to the hypothalamus in the brain, and it sends a message to the brain to say that we are full. So that's why it's called the satiety hormone. And because then it's released by fat cells, so the more fat tissue we have, the more leptin we have. So if we gain a little bit of fat tissue, then we have more leptin, so our body's telling us that we are more full, and then we'll probably lose the weight. But if we lose fat, then we have less leptin, and because we've less leptin, we're less full, and then we're more likely to eat more. So yeah, our body's just leptin is constantly trying to tell us to maintain our weight as much as we can. And yeah, basically ghrelin and leptin tell us how much food we need to eat. So, big question now. Why, if we have hormones that control the amount of food we eat and when we should stop eating, why is it that we have a global problem of overweight and obesity? The rates of obesity have tripled in the last 45 years. Why is that? In 2016, according to the World Health Organization, 650 million people worldwide were obese, and 240 million children and teenagers worldwide were overweight or obese in 2016. That's a lot of people. And why is it that we have this problem? Why is willpower just not enough, and why is it so hard for people to lose weight if they're classified as clinically obese? Just a side note on the meaning of being clinically obese. What that means is that your BMI or your body mass index is over 30 kilograms per meter squared. So how you work that out is actually you divide your weight in kilograms by your height in meters twice. So I'm going to just use myself as an example, okay? So my weight in kilos is 55. And my height in meters is 1.58. So I divide 55 by 1.58 once and twice, and that gives me an answer of 22. So at the moment I'm not clinically obese because my BMI is under 30. So anywhere between 18.5 and 25 is what a healthy weight is considered to be. So if you're someone with a BMI of over 30, I would strongly recommend that you start making a few changes and try to reduce it down as much as you can. So if you are somebody that has a BMI of over 30 or are clinically obese, then it's likely that you have too much fat tissue in your body, and when this happens, you actually have too much leptin being produced by the fat cells, and this can make your body desensitized to the leptin, and this is called leptin resistance. So you have a somewhat immunity to the leptin, and then what happens is your body thinks it's going into starvation and it wants to preserve as much energy as possible. So as a result, you burn less energy, so you actually burn less calories. And then to add to this, the fat stored around the tummy is called visceral fat, and that's actually the most dangerous type of fat for our health, because it constantly just releases these inflammatory substances into the blood, and that further contributes to leptin resistance. Okay, so to summarize everything so far, before we go on to discuss possible things you can do to help manage leptin resistance, when our stomach is empty, the stomach produces a hormone, the hunger hormone called ghrelin, and we feel hungry and we eat, and then when we have enough energy from food, the fat cells produce a hormone called leptin, and then we stop eating. So this happens when our hormones are working correctly. However, if you have a BMI of over 30, it's likely that leptin resistance is occurring and is an issue for you, and then you have a really hard time losing weight because you are constantly overeating, because you're never feeling full and your body thinks it's going into starvation, so you burn less energy. So simple willpower is just not enough sometimes, because there's a lot of hormonal issues going on. Okay, so 3 tips that you can do today to help you manage leptin resistance if it's something that might be an issue for you. Sleep, exercise and diet. So number 1, research shows that if you don't get enough sleep, you produce less leptin. So we know that less leptin means you get a less feeling of being full, so you're likely to overeat. So what's recommended is 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every night. Number 2, exercise. Research shows that the more exercise you do, the more responsive your body is to leptin. So that means that you're able to recognize the levels of leptin easier, and then you're better able to tell that you are full. So you'll probably eat a little bit less. So how much exercise do we need? So aim for a minimum of 150 minutes every week of moderate intensity activity, or at least 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity every week. And you should also aim to do at least 2 days in the week some resistance training or muscle strengthening exercises. Last but not least, we have diet. And I'm going to keep it short for the purpose of this video. Basically, what you want to do is avoid as much as you can foods that cause inflammation. That would be things like processed meats, like salami, hot dogs. It would be things like trans fats, like in donuts and margarine, alcohol, sugar-sweetened beverages like milkshakes or soda, fizzy drinks, and refined carbohydrates like white bread and biscuits and cakes. And what you want to include are foods that have an anti-inflammatory effect, so that are very good for you. So these would be things like oily fish, all fruits, especially berries, all vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds. Okay, so today we talked about the 2 main hormones, ghrelin and leptin, that control our hunger levels and our fullness levels. We learned why it's so difficult if you're clinically obese or you have a BMI of over 30, why it's so difficult to lose weight, and 3 things that you can do today to help you manage leptin resistance. So if you took anything useful from the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to read more about leptin resistance, please check out the link below, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.